I grew up reading the Wimpy Kid books and will still somehow get blackmail from Jeff Kiney saying if I don't buy his books he'll release my personal info. The last one I read was The Long Haul, I believe, but that was at a library because they're way too expensive. The series and establishment of the Wimpy Kid have always been part of my childhood, and it's so unfortunate that it just had to rot. The first time I laid eyes on the first Wimpy Kid book was in elementary school. A friend in the group that consisted of every boy in the class had brought it, and we were all supposed to have turns reading it, until one of the kids took it home and never brought it back. Luckily, I was one of the few ones that read it before it was stolen, and although I didn't find all the jokes to be funny, it really resonated with me. Before you knew it, the whole class had begun to fall in love with it as well. And later that week, my friend made a popularity list, just like in the movie. It was egocentric, sure, but the sheer fascination with the series grew with each school year just being a race to see who owned the first copy of the latest book. I even remember my friend showing me fake Google images of the next book, but my young mind didn't understand Photoshop at that time. I even started my own little journal from the spiral notebooks that they gave from school, which for some reason I drew my hair as just a line even though my hair didn't look anything like that. But hey, even then I wasn't an artiste. My friend and I even went to the school premiere of Roderick Rules. That just tells you how much praise we would give as a whole class. It wasn't just a collection. It became an obsession. I still own the first trilogy, and I still see them as sacred texts. But like anything though, the fad faded away throughout the years. And after a while, I sought new books, and I don't know, if it wasn't for Wimpy Kid, I wouldn't have picked up my first Big Nate book, which slowly became my favorite. I stopped anxiously waiting for the next entry, though. I can't see myself ever going to the movies either. I'll admit, the first Wimpy Kid movie is not that good, but I bet it's so much better in comparison to this one. But, boy, has it decayed. The series is still going. Even when everyone else is getting older, Greg is still a kid. And I get it, Jeff Kiney really wants to milk the series, but I've made my calculations throughout the book timeline. He only has a few months left until he's out of 8th grade and into high school. Jeff wouldn't keep a character in purgatory just to milk the series, right? Actually, I'd like to detract from my previous statement. The growth of the main character Greg Heffley throughout the series is one that I can fully appreciate now that I'm older. It has maturity, but the events are so wacky, to keep it relevant for kids nowadays. Throughout the first book, we get into the mind of a little megalomaniac sociopath whose only interest in life is to get a girlfriend and achieve popularity in school. Typical middle schoolers. But after books 2, 3, and 4, Roderick Rules, we get an insight into poor little Greg's abuse, living with a violent edgelord of a brother called Roderick, a spoiled little brat like Manny, and parents who just don't understand youth culture in the modern age. By the third book, we get redemption, and with a surprise, the friendship of Greg and Rowley finally breaks up, and this breakup lasts throughout the other books. Again, this hits so close to home with me having a brother with a rock star attitude, a friend whomst I have lost, and in later books you can see Greg mature, reading the first entry and the last one back to back. We see Greg stop being so damn selfish and actually handle situations better. He's no longer interested in his own well-being as much as getting out of the surreal circumstances that he's put into. I truly hope that they either stop the series or continue on to high school. After all, it doesn't have middle school in the name, so Greg isn't necessarily tied down to just being a middle schooler. That would be Jeff Kiney truly showing author's legacy and showing that a character can grow up. But I really doubt that. I really do. Ugh. The movies. I mean, I'll admit, it's Nickelodeon / Disney Channel live action type of humor, except there's no laugh track, because not even the laugh track wants anything to do with this. The first movie just has all the problems that there can be in an adaptation. Basically, you could have iconic moments from the novel, but the book has no story. It's just diary entries that somehow build up over an overarching story. Or, better said, school year. Whatever. It's just garbage. Also, who the fun is this girl? She wasn't in the book. What's her purpose other than acting like a moral guideline to Greg? Like a crappier version of Durr from the Fred movie. The fact that we don't see her in class makes it seem like she's just a teenager hanging around a bunch of little kids, like a pedo. Or maybe she's a ghost, like in Sixth Sense. Maybe she's already dead. Well, anyways, the second movie is a little bit better. We at least have a nicer dynamic between Greg and his brother, and the jokes are a little less wince. The ending sucks. And now, I can't speak for the third movie, since I haven't seen it. But from what I've seen from the trailers, Greg looks like a grown man. Especially next to someone like Rowley, who hasn't even dropped his balls. Greg looks anything but wimpy in this movie. Plus, another thing to note, the movie title is from the fourth book, despite the fact that it's the third movie. Whatever, those are my final thoughts on the first trilogy of films. Very inferior to the books, but that's to be expected. Now, this 2017 movie, it's a reboot, and the kid looks like 7 years old. I think I'm too old for this. No, I won't be seeing this crap. Unless I get free tickets, wink wink. Now the whole hashtag not my Roderick thing that came out of this, it's dumb. No one really watches these movies. It's basically like complaining about the new Ghostbusters movie not having a nerd-type character. Like, come on. That's the dumbest complaint you could have. So in conclusion, the book series is okay. Not good, but like it's not the worst thing out there. It's definitely not the worst book adaptation there is. Don't worry, I'll get to that one later, I promise. Until next time, this has been... Oh boy, I sure am hungry. Oh, anyways, thanks for listening. Also, I'd like to note before this video ends, I watched the full trailer to the third Wimpy Kid movie, and boy is it ridiculous. I mean, he jumps off a ledge and his underwear gets caught thanks to a little girl encouraging him to jump, and then for some reason the girl that he likes is there and she's like, hey, what's up? Like, wouldn't you tell that his wee-wee is there? And anyways, like, a girl dives underwater, she would obviously either see his dick or ass when he turns around. So would there be like a lawsuit against him? It'd be funny if the rest of the movie was just that girl that dived underwater seeing his dick and then like reporting to the police as a sex offender, you know? Diary of a Sex Offender would be the next movie. That'd be very bold of you, Jeff Kiney.